school. Welcome to the new year. Welcome to the fall speaker series course. It's wonderful to see you all. I'm Becky Brown. I'll be running this for the first time, so please bear with me on it. I think everyone got in and got checked in with our rad assistants with the attendance. Did that go pretty well? Good? Okay. That's very important because as you perhaps know, attendance is very important for this class. It's the sole basis for evaluation. So the only thing you have to do is come every week. So it's very important that you get checked in and marked off as you are coming in. All right, so we can talk more about that as we go. But yes, so yeah, before we go further, I would like to acknowledge the land on which the University at Buffalo operates, which is, can you guys hear me okay? I think I'm projecting. Which is the territory of the Seneca Nation, a member of the Haudenosaunee Six Nations Confederacy. This territory is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Treaty of Peace and Friendship, a pledge to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. It is also covered by the 1794 Treaty of Canandaigua between the United States government and the Six Nations Confederacy, which further affirms Haudenosaunee land rights and sovereignty in the state of New York. Today, this region is still the home to the Haudenosaunee people, and we are grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and share ideas in this territory. So, some brass tacks. This class, it will meet every Monday at 6:30, roughly 6:30 to 8:30. And for folks who are new to it, the class consists of a new visiting lecturer each week. So there will be artists in all different disciplines, artists and designers, and some critics and thinkers who will be coming to visit us and share their work each week. So it will be a different person, a different voice, a different perspective, and that is the format of the class. So, except for tonight. Tonight will be a little different, and I'll get to that. So, yes, email me if you have questions. There is a syllabus online in the Brightspace class. So I did email everyone yesterday and also shared the syllabus, so I hope folks have been able to access that. Did people get an email? I'm seeing some nodding. Yes, wonderful. So, yeah, I may occasionally email. There probably won't be too much correspondence because the class is so straightforward. But yes, here are some policies. Very important to follow all of these. There is no eating or drinking in the room. This is CFA policy, so please refrain. I know it is dinner time, so plan accordingly. You must bring your ID to every class. So most of you already did this today, so that is how you will be checked in and marked present. So I know some folks are still getting their IDs and working some of that out, and I think you were able to use your app, and that worked out. But going forward, try to have the physical ID. That will make things easier and smoother. If you leave early, you will be counted absent. Do not multitask and work on unrelated matters. Please focus your attention on the speaker. It's very, very important, and you are welcome to take notes and think about the speaker, respond, collect your questions, because there will always be a question and answer at the end, and you're encouraged to speak up. We actually dim the lights. Let's see. Experimented with this. I want a little bit of light, but not too much. That's better. Okay. And of course, do not use your phones during lectures. Okay, so the Visiting Speaker Series is based on exposure to a diversity of mid-career and established creative professionals working in a range of disciplines. Cumulatively, the series provides a glimpse of long-term career paths beyond the formal education process, living examples of how different practitioners apply their skills and talents in the world. It will allow students to find role models and examples beyond their academic community, professionals engaged in relevant, sincere, and sustaining work. So again, there's a little bit more detail on the syllabus, so check that out, but we're going over the bulk of it here. As far as grading, again, it's based on attendance. So this is how it will work. If you are at every class, you will get an A, and speaking in the Q&A is encouraged. Everyone is allowed one unexcused absence, and you can still be in the A range, and it goes down accordingly. So again, I can't say it enough, essential that you come to every class. And in the case where there is an absence, it can only be excused with written proof. So this is departmental policy that you may remember from previous semesters if you've taken the class. So whatever it is, medical, family, etc., there will need to be something in writing. So you can bring that to me after class, you can email it to me, however you want to do it, but I will need that in order to excuse any absences. So please be mindful about that. People arriving after lectures begin will be counted late, and multiple lates will amount to an absence. Again, those leaving early will be counted absent, and yes, some of this we've covered. All right, so this is our schedule for the fall. There will also be posters around campus that you can check out and get to know some of our incoming speakers. I have 3 samples here of folks who are coming. Painter Daisy Patton, printmaker and sculptor Aaron S. Coleman, and video and performance artist Jacoby Satterwhite. So these are just 3 of our many, and it's looking to be a very exciting lineup. So I'm looking forward to introducing all of these folks to you and for you to meet them. So yeah, you can also learn more about them on the Department of Art Speaker Series website, and you can read details, their bios, and there will be, I believe, images and some photos coming soon. So check that out. All right, so on to tonight's program. We are very happy to have a lot of our faculty here in the audience joining us tonight. And what we're going to do tonight, as we did last year, was use the first night of Speaker Series as kind of an introduction to the art department and our offerings. Since so many of you are new to the department or new to this school year, maybe need a little refresher and all of the exciting things that we have to offer. We have many of our faculty introducing their particular areas of focus, their classes, and some of their own work so that you can get to know us and what we teach a little bit better. So this is an overview of our areas, and we're going to be covering most of these tonight. Art history, Varun Galanu will be speaking to that. Biological art, we have Paul Venus here. Drawing, we have Millie Chen here, and I will also be sharing on behalf of Joan Linder. Emerging practices, art and technology, we have Paul Venus and Mark Boland with us tonight. Graphic design, we have Kelly Myers-Chunko with us tonight. Painting, we have me, that is my area. Performance, we have Millie will be touching on that perhaps. Photography, we have John Opera, and for print media, we have Jeff Shervin, who's speaking on behalf of himself, and Noah Brewer, who couldn't be here. And finally, for sculpture and installation, we will have Reinhardt with us. So we will have a healthy dose of all of the goodies in store in this building. This is going to be roughly our order, but we have a couple folks that joined the lineup after I completed this, so I think we will start with them. So Varun and Mark, are you guys okay with starting us off? Mark, do you want to maybe jump in since your stuff is up here? Great, so I'm going to turn it over to Professor Mark Boland, and he will start things off. Minimize this.
Hey, thank you. I represent part of the art and technology faculty in the art department we do, and my specialty is a subset of the art and technology bubble, computation. So I offer 2 classes that might be of interest to you. Well, before I go there, so what's computation media? That's kind of like which department can do that. The art department is a bit different than the computer science department, but they're actually similar in some of the scope, only the methods are different. The computation media is an interesting way to combine interests across multiple fields and across disciplines. It's very dynamic. What it is exactly offer here in the art department 2 courses, and students who are really interested in computation should try to take those courses sequentially. The first one is called creative coding, and the second one is machine learning. Creative coding requires no knowledge. You come in as you are. Nothing. You've never touched a computer. You know where keyboard is, maybe, but that's about it. No knowledge. And I will take you from there to an interesting place that opens up the field of computational media as a design and outcome. The second course is an advanced undergraduate course. It requires prior knowledge, minimally the first course. So that's kind of like what you need and where you can go. You can take only the first one, but if you want the second one, then you can go have a good one. Then finally, if you're really into it, you can do an independent study on projects that we discussed here. So creative coding, what do we do? I feel like games. So we make some games. Interactivity games, and we use a language called JavaScript to do that. Part of what I show you in the series of courses that I have is that coding is a way of writing. It's a way of thinking. So I show you how different dots can be expressed in different contexts and how you can do different things with that. And so we start as kind of like gaming environments just because it's like a fun place to do something. The stakes are not so high. But what you can do is quite interesting. So like small changes, small little decisions can have big consequences. And that's an interesting place for a study operation. When you do small things, you have interesting and distant consequences. And I think that's territory for us. So we do translate that. We actually do write code. So I want to be absolutely clear. We make code. We'll do that if you take these courses. And I'll show you how to do it. It's time intensive, but it's rewarding. And you do it in more than one night. So you become multi-linear, right? That is an asset you have. The second course, okay, sorry. So, the second course is a bit more in depth, as I mentioned. The first course, calculate, combine, span, use different language to do that. Here's a student project students built a web crawler in Python to go to different websites and kind of figure out what are they talking about, and came up with a way of finally display it to show the results where the colors and the intensity of the fonts are related to the topics that the robot found. Right? So we try to find responses, visual responses, information that algorithms produce. That's one of the things that we do. Now, the big topic, of course, lately, again here, as I showed you how to produce these things in computer code. The big topic now, of course, is generative AI. AI has been around for 50 years. It's a big fuss. But recently it's on some traction because of new models and large data sets that have combined to create a new condition. And what's interesting for artists is that we can start to do something with these now, because there are interfaces to these systems. We talk about this, and I show you how to get started with this. Right? The generative systems that figure out what's the best next word to put in a sentence, and do that so cleverly that it seems like they're talking. So we do that in different contexts. Again, we write code. We use like one line that goes to an OpenAI engine and asks for an image based on type of input. And so I show you now what students did last semester. OpenAI just came out. Harvard jumped on it, and students in a group project built the first neural recipe box. So this is an AI engine that makes menus. And as a matter of fact, you can try it out right now. It's active. Don't do it all at the same time, please. You'll crash the server. Go to this URL, read the about statement. This is done in a student, in a class, right? The last project, group project. And it'll make menus based on what you want. It'll confabulate stuff. So the fun thing is not to say, oh, I want spaghetti with flavor. No, you want some like crazy drink thing. Maybe your grandma made it with some, I don't know, like Swiss chocolate, some crazy stuff. And you put some ingredients in there and come up with something and create an image course. So part of that was just to figure out how do you do this. The important part going forward is what do you want to do with this, right? This is as much about aesthetics as it is about design, ethics, capability. What does it mean to be an individual human in the face of systems that create as we did in the past? These are all questions that we look at. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, we are going to have
Hi everybody, I'm Lynn Goldman. I'm one of the artistic faculty here at UB. I wanted to just throw up a list of some of our art history course offerings that we are offering this semester and that we've offered in the past. And I really encourage you to, even though some of these courses are required courses for you, and then of course it is a survey course, but we have a proliferation of other offerings that I really encourage you to seek out. And of course, there are different levels of sophistication of knowledge of difficulty. This semester, I'm offering Intro to Modern Art. I'm teaching another course called Intro to Critical Theory. That's a graduate course. And actually, Intro to Modern Art is under-enrolled this semester, so I encourage you, if you're still shopping around for courses, I encourage you to seek it out, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But as you can see, we have a great roster of different courses on offer. So whatever media you're focusing on, I encourage you to really kind of step out of your box and seek out knowledge of other media. Because I mean, so many artists today are working in an interdisciplinary manner, right? And why is it historical knowledge of all of these disciplines and how they came to be, all of these stylistic practices and how they evolved over the years? Why is that important? Why is historical knowledge important? I think that's a great answer, and it's going to speak to one of the slides that I have from this presentation. Yeah, when you want to know what came before you, right? What people did before you, so that you can either build upon them or you can break with those traditions, right? And so much of modernist contemporary and modernist practice that I talk about in the Intro to Modern Art course and also in my contemporary art course that we will run through the semester is about looking at the past but then breaking with these past stylistic movements, right? And either borrowing from them or trying to reject them altogether, or in some cases doing both, borrowing from them but also recontextualizing them in a way that speaks to our contemporary time and place, right? To this place and time. Right? And you want to know what came before. You want to know what people have said before you, so that you can contribute to the dialogue and add to the dialogue in the contemporary. So, just want to share information about some of our district faculty. Vance Watchford focuses on the arts of the ancient world. I focus on 19th and 20th century, late 19th and 20th century, and my research is really located in that chronology. Ted Triano's focuses on late 20th, early 21st century, postmodernism, critical race theory, gender studies, and Julia Lilly, who we're really excited just joined us last year, focuses on 16th and 17th century visual culture, the history of printmaking, decorative arts, and the history of design. So we have a really full roster of art historians who really have different areas of specialization. So I encourage you to take classes with all of us. I don't want to run over time, but just a quick note about my own research, and I'm actually going to give a lecture about my research on October 20th at Cornwall. We'll have a fun fellowship through the Humanities Institute at UVU, give a lecture about our work. So I write about space, actually. I started writing about landscape imagery, but then I transitioned into actual space. So I talk about spatial practice, how people use the space, how a public makes the space public, how different publics occupy space, and how space can be designed in a way to try and impose a disciplinary order on it. I mean, if we look at this room, it's been designed in a certain way to encourage us to behave in a certain way in this room, right? But I'm also interested in how publics kind of transgress that disciplinary order and use the space maybe in creative ways that it wasn't intended. Okay. So I'll be talking about my work on the 20th. And this is a course that I want to encourage you to sign up for if you're still looking around. It covers all the important isms. It starts in the mid-19th century with realism, moves on to impressionism, post-impressionism, symbolism, cubism, surrealism, Dada, abstract expressionism, Harlem Renaissance, Mexican realism, all the important isms, right? And this is really the course that lays down the foundation for a lot of contemporary art practice that comes out of these modernist art movements. And in this course, we also make the transition from modernism to postmodernism, so you'll get a good idea of what it is that, what the postmodern break is really all about, okay? And you know, today in class we talked, these are 3 works of art that are hung at the new Buffalo APG Art Museum. They're hung at the entrance of their permanent collection gallery. And I thought it was really interesting that they're from very different time periods. This is from the mid-19th century, this is from the mid-20th century, and this is a contemporary work of art. I thought it was interesting that they juxtaposed these works in their first gallery. And so we talked about the relationships between these works. They might seem very different from one another, but through this art historical knowledge, you start to use threads of continuity in works that make them extremely different from one another. And here is a perfect example of a contemporary artist who's borrowing from the past. This is indigenous Samoan artist, Kara. They had created an installation in the New Zealand Pavilion of the Venice Biennial last year. Really, what, does it remind you of a work of art? I'm going to show it to you in the next slide. But this artist is really quoting from a very important historical work of art. Yeah? It's close. Actually, it's really great that you mentioned that, because this artist actually might have looked at the birth of Venus and then added their own interpretation of the birth of Venus to their work. Yeah? Okay, possibly, yes. Uh-huh. Okay, well, I'll just go ahead and tell you. It's Paul Gauguin, the post-impressionist symbolist artist who created this work in the late 19th century. So the Samoan artist was critiquing the colonialist movement, the colonialist networks that brought Gauguin, a French artist, to Tahiti to begin with. It was really kind of a big disciplinary critique of Gauguin, the work that Gauguin made in Tahiti of the indigenous population there, and also inserting their own narrative of identity politics into Gauguin's images of femininity. And there's also an environmental statement here too about extraction of natural resources from Oh, it's definitely planned, and it's planned. It's a good question. It's posed to reference Gauguin's work, and it's a photograph that's then installed on top of another photograph. So sorry, I kind of went on too long. That's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Bryn. That was wonderful. Next up, we will
a long time to build, time-based thing. Time so basically,
Sorry, all. Everyone give me a moment to
use day one.
sort it out. Definitely not. I'm gonna take a brief pause. You can talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Okay, stop talking. There you go. Welcome. Nice to see everybody out day one. Hopefully you'll have a great semester. We're all hoping for the same thing first. A lot of changes, as some of you've heard about, staff changes in the office and new people coming and going, so excitement is at a good level. I run the sculpture program here at UB, and that's really expanding into Sunset and beyond the Newsland. I've been starting with some of my own work just to get a sense of where I come from. So some of the work that I've done in the outdoors, I do a lot of work that has to do with ecology and environmental issues. And this is the work done on the island of Newfoundland as part of the Biennale that happened a few years ago. These were inverted trees. I like to paint things upside down. My kids complain about that all the time. Project that I did near New York recently, down in Paramore, Center for the Arts, which also includes sound, so I also work with sound, I work with environmental elements and sound. I design parks. So I work with all manner of things, and then I did a residency at the Art Gallery of Hamilton in Canada, where I worked with the community. We brought in three pedagogists. I work with community dementia patients and probably, and they all helped me to create sculpted environments that can face the entire tree. And we did a drawing on an opposite I did here in Buffalo City. Once again, you can see the ubiquitous tree, and I identify trees most of the time. And then some of the other work I do was with bronze, and in this case, we bronze in the background as well. So hybridizing sculpture in many ways. You know, some of you might recognize this as a quote of one of Dr. May's work. I'll give it a riff. Another series of works on bronze again. Scale, some of the wall work. Lower ones are wall. These are fungi that I took molds from and then cast them on and created this area. And then just to finish a little introduction to what I do. This is a 6 foot by, as you can see, 36 by 17 drawing, but it's all made up of the word, the name of the tree, which in this case is the juniper. So I wrote the word juniper at about 1 millimeter high or less, probably 100,000 times in order to create the image. So the image is entirely made of text, and its texture is literally animated by text. So that's what I do. And here's what you do. So this is what we try to engage with, right? Researching and investigating methods, materials, and structural approaches. Students in these areas are engaged with application techniques and technologies to engage with the materials, technical study materials, and so as you can see, I'm a practitioner that uses a wide range of materials, and I love the idea of introducing that to students as well. So here's some of the work that's happened in the courses that I teach. These are freshman courses, the student concepts, so for some of you might know, these are examples from previous years. I didn't want to embarrass somebody in the room, so I didn't show anything in the last year or so. So these are from other years, so you can sort of tell those who did the wood projects can tell who they are. So, vertical art, and then a variety of interpretations there. And also, and then intermediate and advanced sculpture. These are some of the projects that have happened. Some of this week happened outside the city, above, and on the far right. And there's the project space here. And there's, or actually just down the hall. So those are some examples of what happens here. So in intermediate and advanced, we just push the thematics of your own particular interests further from the initial teachings around 3D complexes, introduce techniques, and intermediate and advanced, we push that with interests of the others specifically to develop your own language itself. Help you find the language attached to what it is you do, and to provide options to investigate. That's one of the projects that I'm implementing. It's done by an engineering student with a lot of stuff. And this is what can happen with your graduate students involved in sculpture. Did some very ambitious project at Bristol, Southway, in downtown Toronto, huge urban site that he created. And this is the piece on the right that he did here, that was big as part of his graduation degree. So you see the undergrad level, then you see what can happen at the graduate level. It gives you an idea of the range of what can happen here and what can happen. What you're going to contribute. And I'd love to see more people involved in structure. And I should also let you know that I'm an undergrad director as well. So some of you have spoken to me about courses and issues and problems. I'm available to talk to about any of this at any time. By email, in person, all over. So anything you need, that way you can. Although next semester, so next time you see me in the fall, those of you now I'll have you work. Right. That's it.
Thank you, Reinhard. Next up, we will. try to get Jeff stuff here, so. Yes.
Right, just a regular PM. Sponsor that.
Sorry.
No, it's not in a project. It's actually should be in there. I think. Well, now. It's showing up on the upper right. Yeah, I can barely. That's not working. Okay. So put this window away. Yeah, it should be good. Sorry about this, folks. It's not responding. You say it's in the upper right. Yeah, can you kind of because I'm trying to it is one actually not.
Well, you guys have some time to
That's
process each one.
yeah, I'm just trying to get yeah, I don't even know what we do. Yes. I love you. Let's slide over. So I love it. What am I here for? To tell you a little bit about print media and in the UB Department of Art. I'm Jeff Sherman. I'm the print media technician, instructional support technician. We have several of those in the department. Cassandra's over in photo, Cristiano down on sculpture. You'll have Ricky Kale, who will be the art resource manager. And am I missing one other person? Yes, up in CA, art and technology. Let's see if the down arrow works. These are the classes available in print media. Right now for the fall, we have imprint screen print. That's with Joey. And then I'm teaching relief and letterpress. And then Dalton Carlson is teaching the lithography course. Most of you say, well, what is printmaking, Jeff? I just hit command print and things come out. It's all the stuff that happens that you don't see. You basically go from the idea of planning, preparation, production, post-production, and then presentation. And all those steps require you to learn how to make an image and output it for a printing process. And that includes lithography, which is basically how you still get your magazines printed and stuff like that. High-speed printing. That includes digital processes, large format printing. I also run the large format printing room on 142 in that space there in the lab. And there's going to be an example of that here. Sorry, Dexter, I included you in on this. As far as that goes, we also do screen printing. Some of you are familiar with that. Most of you are wearing some shirts that are screen printed on. But screen printing and then those two, lithography and screen printing, are in one lab. The other lab is in Hollywood Relief. This is the proposed lineup here. That's the guy, Noah Brewer. He's the head of the program, but right now he's away. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't if you don't know this, if you don't like dogs, don't come see Dixie. It says beware on my door. I also warn you that I eat tree nuts, but this is my dog Dixie, and I usually bring her 5 once or twice a week. Only on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Who is this? This is Noah, in case you haven't met him. You get a walk through. Oh, you guys all know who Buster Bolt is, right? Okay. And Noah walked in graduation, and he will be here again in the spring. This is one piece of Noah's work right here, 2015. He actually went, this is an older work where he took all of his baseball collection, he cut it up to basically a laser cutter, and then turned around and recomposited all these things together to create these mashups. This is during the era of steroids and a lot of juicing up of sports athletes. So the prints that he did were as a result of that. You're looking at 2 screen prints right here. Also looking at 2 screen prints here, rechanging the face of the cars. Most of these prints are on the larger side. Weird thing about printmaking is that the 30 by 22, that's usually considered a half sheet size. When we print on paper, this is a lot about physics and chemistry. You literally have to know about how the ink goes on with the paper, the type of paper you're using, and how the ink behaves. Because it's just like cooking, baking, all of that stuff. Humidity, temperature, all these conditions. The bad cook in the room or having the cookie captive or whatever, that's part of it too. That's me working with some kids, and I think it was Spring and Art, and that was a zoo out here in the atrium, basically screen printing away and stamping away. It was just about 2.5 hours or so of just printing everything. There's Mickey standing behind me laughing. This is Twiggy working in the room, and this is actually a litho room and screen printing room. You can see some examples of screen prints of students' tessellations up there on the wall. Twiggy is actually down carving on her block and then printing it there. It just became more convenient to be up on a table versus down on the floor because, it's just more convenient. But also, those were where some big tables are that we worked on. This is Cassandra Crispinillos. This is her screen printing for her Protect Trans Youth Kids. You can see a couple of her colleagues back there. Shirley's in here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry about that. This is another Tech Trans Kids dog. The dogs have it. So does this one too. This is, am I doing this right? So this is a screen printing lab. You'll also notice there's a cutter in there and basically a lot of prints around on the drawing racks. Lithography and variations of lithography. You're looking at Charles White, John Brown, and that's a crayon drawing. And when you think about this, you're thinking, well, so why is it called lithography? Because originally limestone that was pre-fossil era. So basically, the same thing that filters your water is what you drew on to do this. And if you go into the lithography lab, you'll see these big, heavy limestones. Do not move them off the shelf. They're heavy, they can break your feet, or, that kind of stuff. Over on the other side, we have Noah Brewer's use from Iraq. This is actually a piece that he did in relationship to all of his friends that went into the military, and then we're sending him back content and talking about what they were going through. Couple of relief prints here. The one here, very, much more kind of illustrative, but really presenting the whole figure. The other one there kind of breaks apart and comes back together in pieces because we're dealing with this kind of CMYK and some Pantone color mixing in there so that you get this image where you see part of the figure, then all of a sudden it leads you around to another space. Again, these kinds of key images here, the black image is what really defines the print. This one right here, they actually ask you to kind of build the image as you read it. This is the relief and Italia shop right here, place that we work in. These are all downstairs in the basement towards the lakeside. This is Amanda McHugh. She's working with a group of students, who's actually a visiting artist. I think there's some human beings in here that are in the room. Yes. That are in the space here. This is a relief print. We actually commissioned a print by Vic Janis. This is actually for a woman that works at Duco College, and she had this thing where she really wanted to produce a print related to, what is that? Who drank today? Who's that juice that you drink? Loganberry, yeah. This is all called Crystal Beach and Loganberry. So if you're into that, basically it's a fine word puzzle. Inside the bottle is the text, and then you have to find it on the negative space around the text. We do some independent studies. Noah and I, this is the group of 3 students that actually did independent studies with me. You can actually see the print that Cookie made there. This is Emma's installation over here, and then this is the whole group together right there in Cass's presentation space, in the project space. The project space is the room where you can actually test out presentation and installation of your artwork so that you kind of get a feel of how it is to really get to that point where you're creating a presentation. You're not just making things and showing them a little bit, but you're really putting together the whole piece and a whole presentation for the audience. A couple more examples. A third print, I bring him up because really this is where in the Western world some of the relief printing comes to life, but really this began in Asia, in China, Korea, and Japan. That's really where it was born. But later on, this guy, he made a lot of prints, but he ended up with Gutenberg after that, making some movable type, so he had to start reading books. It's real book. A couple of bookmaking, we do artist books. And Dexter is coming up. This is a computer, a 2-dimensional digital copy stand. It's connected to a computer so that you can take and photograph your work. It'll give you great color rendition and capture one. Then you save that to your box folder. You actually have documentation of your work. So I encourage you to use that space because I set that up so people could actually get that done and have it up on box and then be able to basically create portfolio. Yeah, sorry guys. And that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Hello again, and pardon these very clunky transitions. Maybe this will smooth out. But maybe this gives you a little bit of time to reflect on each.
I do want to say to you that the extras piece at the end, a lot of these sort of EMAP drawings, a lot of these murals were put up, and there's discussion about how those murals were done. But Dexter's involved painting himself, but then also doing digital printing to create the frame around the piece. So Dexter had to go through this whole process of helping her to scale it and get it to place and then remounting that to the wall. If you walk around the building, you actually find some of the little sayings that you put up on the wall in kind of unique spaces. Please read them and check out those things and have a look.
And I'm so sorry, everyone. I swear it's not me. This computer is it's freezing. Like it's just, so all of the windows that were open are not open. So just give me a minute. We'll get there. Sorry.
Like, you like control alt delete so I could get the same.
From now on, we will just use a map attachment.
No. Meaning when you go to X out, doesn't move. That's frozen. So when I came here, one here. And then we no, it's not. No, you're right. No,
Introducing Kelly Myers-Chunko, a graphic design.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope you've had a great first day today. I am Kelly Myers-Chunko, and I'm here representing the graphic design department. And I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of what the department offers and a little bit about my practice. This semester, I am teaching typography, so I'm teaching typographic forms, typographic systems, and a special topics class, which is narratives and graphic design. A lot of very familiar faces out there. So a little bit about the program. It's a concentration here in the art department. It's a professionally geared art practice curriculum that engages innovative visual thinking and problem solving. We focus on the intersection of form and concept, and the courses will provide you with a solid foundation in design theory and history while cultivating skills in technique. Our studio courses prepare you for a variety of options in the professional design field and include the study of typography and visual systems, print and publication design, data visualization, web and social media design, and much, much more. So you can see here on the left, I have some samples of student work from previous typography classes. There's identity design and branding exploration, type design, poster design, graphic design. There's some printmaking thrown in there as well as part of typography. So just a little bit of what you can expect in your graphic design classes. also focus on skills and technique. So we hope that you gain a broad and applied knowledge of the fundamental strategies and methods of contemporary graphic design. And also gaining an aptitude in industry standard software and the technique of professional production. So whether that's print or digital, we work on professional production techniques. The design department also focuses on deepening your creative intellect and artistic problem-solving skills. You'll learn how to work in a team-based environment similar to a contemporary design studio and gain professional experience to equip you for a professional practice and or advanced study in your field. So off to the left here, we have work from typographic systems, and on the right, we have in the midst of a critique. Both of these were actually in the project space, so we also try to use the project space for any of our graphic design projects when we're able to. You'll also acquire critical discursive skills for presenting your work, explaining your concepts, and critically engaging the work of others. Acquiring analytical skills to enable you to access meanings in visual images, and gaining a solid understanding of the roles of art, design, and visual culture. Our learning environment. We have a lot of very talented designers in the department. Myself, we have Joel Brenton, who is new this year, Mona Gaynor, and of course our chair, Stephanie Rothenberg, who make up the design department here. And a lot of us are also practicing designers as well. I have a sampling of some of my work off to the right-hand side. Before I came to education and to UB, I worked as an art director in advertising for over 20 years, and I'm still a practicing professional designer, and I work independently. We do a lot of branding work over there, a lot of print work, so that is my professional practice. Internships. This is a common question in the graphic design department. A lot of our students go on to take on an internship in senior year, and your faculty is always happy to help you and point you in the right direction, help you prepare your portfolios. Some of the local companies that our students have gone on to are TNG Brand Fuel, which was formerly the Martin Group, Eric Bauer Associates, Cloud Web, Black Club Design, and then the University of Buffalo Creative Services Department also has a great internship program. We also work with you on portfolio development during your junior and senior years. Any of your design instructors can help guide you in creating a professional design portfolio that prepares you for the next steps in your career. And I have listed down there the AAF of Buffalo. This was a recent partnership that started last year. If you're not familiar with them, it's the American Advertising Federation, and there is a Buffalo chapter that we partnered with to bring some really great events to UB. So last semester, for example, we had a portfolio seminar that talked about how to prepare your portfolio. We had a portfolio review with industry creatives from Buffalo. And we also had a really fun event called Grant Hack, where a nonprofit came in. Students were paired into groups and created a new logo design for the nonprofit that was used. The winning group was chosen, and the company went forward with using their design. So if you're interested in seeing what the AAF Buffalo has to offer, you can go visit their website, and hopefully we'll have some more great events and partnerships coming this year for you. Our studio lab equipment. If you haven't been to see our open lab in 142 yet, we have a lot of amazing equipment, and it just keeps growing. Of course, we have our Mac workstations and software, color laser printers, 3D printers, large format printers, vinyl cutters, an amazing embroidery machine that is really cool, audio recording and editing suite, cameras, light box, we just got a Glowforge, and a couple more really snazzy printers. So you can kind of go check out, Dom is usually in the lab in 142, or there's lab monitors there. So you can go pop in and kind of take a look around and see what's in there. And again, that's the open lab. So if you are in a graphic design course, you have access to these materials, and a lot of them, are either under guidance with Dom or in depth with the printing lab. And that is it for my quick overview of the graphic design department. I'm here Monday through Thursdays, so if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My office is 135, that is my email address, or you can just flag me down in the hall. Happy to answer any questions that you have at any time. How many prospective graphic design students do we have out there? Keep them out. All right, wonderful. I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you very much.
Lily, would you like to go next?
I'm Lily Chen, and I am, I guess, the free roamer in the department. I roam between drawing, installation, performance practice, and kind of the video, audio. So, just a quick overview of, just to give you a sense of where I'm coming from, and this is how I teach too. I teach across media in the department since the beginning of my time at UB, and continue to do so. So this is an example of a combining drawing and installation. So that the formerly named ubART a number of years ago. And then this is just drawing on paper. Give you some sense of where I'm coming from. Performance. This is a very old work, collaboration with Evan and Velocity. Close as bakers. Those are our heads in bread form. Another piece we did, interactive performative works, and I'll say more about what that is when I get to the course. And then installation, video, audio, I mentioned, so this is video production installation. I did across 4 blocks in downtown Toronto a number of years ago, and this was actually the first street that my family lived on when we immigrated in 1988 to Canada. But I actually had access to book of the houses that we lived in at that time, and those are just narratives that are happening in the videos that we have. So combination of video and installation. As of this is a current project I'm working on called SRS, Social Sandbox. We've been working with my collaborator with ourselves. He's actually an MFA alum from our program from way back. She and I have been working on this since 2017. Following collaborating with musicians and artists in 5 different locations across a major belt on the circle. So Istanbul and Iran, Istanbul, Turkey, which is in Tashkent in Uzbekistan, and this is cool, which is 2 hours outside of the capital district of Kyrgyzstan, and in West China in the Gansu province. So this will turn into an installation consisting of song and performance, which you see when you enter into this interior. You'll see the musicians performing their songs in their language, in their places, in the landscape. The songs are songs of resistance. So, starting with a couple of drawings, and you'll see there's a lot of crossover I'm doing with some of the faculty who have already presented, and also Joan. Joan and I teach, we're the main faculty in the drawing area, so these are a couple of the courses that I've taught over the years. And just really quickly, I'll just take you through some work. These 2 are based on collage, experimental mark making, a lot of fun, making maps. And then using those marks. With more traditional landscape studies. And these are all lower level. So some students who are in their first, second year, new to drawing some, obviously very talented, people are disciplined. So I'm always blown away by their capacity, even though they don't have much experience. Schematic drawing, Jeff's already shown you a wonderful work done by Dexter, which you can see throughout ACFA and the alumni arena hallway. So this course starts with a look at landscape. So this is a macro, micro, big tip look at landscape. So this is drawn from the 25th floor of City Hall here in Buffalo. And then the hydrant was that you see at the bottom, sea level. And then this, Jeff referenced it, so these are the semi-permanent works that result from the schematic drawing class. So this is one that was done in the middle of the lockdown. And so we weren't able to execute a lot, it was all more theoretical work. But the student managed to do this with Jeff's help. It was online, so it was quickly done. She could install it without spending a lot of time rebuilding. So that's what resulted with it. And if you, it's the back stairway, so if you take the stairs, you get a history lesson of reading politics. And this was the following year when we were able to work on site again. So these are two views of the same fantastical machine that the student developed. This was also done at Stone Spring. And this was done 2 years prior in the Honors College. Sadly, it's no longer there, but this was executed off-site. So there are a few works that have been done off CFA property, so that's exciting, like collaborating with other departments, other buildings, working on the buildings. Okay, and then I also teach this, installation urban space, so, you know, Ryan Hutter touched on installation, and this, you see, Garrett Lickey, still there in Marine A at the south end. If you go visit Silo City site, this is one of the few places that are actually, I think we still have permission to go to Marine A, but it's one of the sites where we can still access actually. And I bring students there in the fall to do a really quick project in Marine A at Silo City. This obviously is one of them. So this is some examples of projects, quick projects that were done in the past at Marine A. And back in the day when we had access to the entire Silo City site, this would, you know, Buffalo used to be amazing because you could access a number of different sites all over. First industrial sites all over the city. It's changing happily for the city, but sadly for practically here. It's just a lot harder to gain access. This was on campus, done in a bus shelter. A redesign of the transit system, solar distributed here. Bubble machine, like the excavating machine, laid out bubble. Dara Warner, also a wonderful machine, made this vibrational installation on a bridge. This is also, this was a performance slash installation to expose the ice blocks and then pass them into the lake. Luke, also a former UFA student here, but this is in process, installing on the top of it. Okay, and then this course that's very scary for a lot of people because it isn't getting on the stage and doing a song and dance, but actually that's a very narrow definition of performance. And the reason why I call it performative action, I taught it for a number of years. pastures. And it's really wonderfully handy in places, for instance, in countries where you don't have freedom of expression, and you don't have financial needs. What's the easiest way to overcome that? You use like WhatsApp hand, right, yourself, and you can carry it out anywhere in the most everyday situations, and really cheap to do. So it serves urgency, you can really fly, it's a lot of fun. So here's an example of rescue just finished last year, actually, right on the stage. Okay, so that's a stage example, really fun piece. But this one was done by dots, where you can take the cruising kayak, it looks like the pond there. And this one was done by the Buffalo Location Grant. It's done with our lady. Oh, and another Indian alum, Julia Rose Sutherland. She's now assistant professor at the University. And Julia again, right? Just make them out with that tiny figure on the rectangle. And then the use of digital, especially during the lockdown, but even beyond, prior to the lockdown, all the contemplation of all that digital does and all the problems that come with it. Some interesting work that combines digital with live. So that's definitely also part of what performance practice is now. What is that interface between fleshy bodies and digitized bodies? And this was done during the pandemic, during the lockdown, that first week of the lockdown, where everything that everyone did had to be via Zoom. So that was a really, a very nimble way that they were able to get around that. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. So I'm going to transition because jumping off of Millie's introduction to drawing, we also have some slides from Joan Linder, the other professor in drawing who couldn't join us tonight. So I'll just run through these quickly because Millie, I think you covered a fair amount of this, but Joan had asked me to go through these. So again, she's summarizing some of the classes that Millie discussed already. And she is highlighting some more examples of student work that are going to be pretty self-explanatory. It's like a collaborative piece taking up a lot of wall. Some more representational, observational drawings, color in black and white. Comic, text, graphic novel inspired. And a very large drawing installation there on the left. Series or process-based. I don't have all the information on these, so we'll have to use our imaginations as far as the story plan. And this is Joan in front of a recent project that she installed here on campus at the One World Cafe that, I don't know if anyone has actually gotten to see it, but it's the new dining facility, so I encourage everyone to go check it out. It's on view permanently, I believe, or indefinitely. So it's a beautiful piece, some drawings of Joan's that are blown up, large scale, and on these sort of glass panels. So you can get a sense of that there. And they're all plants that are native to the area, I believe. Do I have that right? What's that? Oh, okay, so connected to the cafe aspect. And this is another beautiful piece of Joan's. She does life-size drawings that are to scale with the real objects. So this was, I believe, the offices on campus in the anatomy lab. I think I have that right, folks, correct me if I'm wrong, where they dissect organs and things like that, and she got really interested in the kind of almost banality of the offices, right? So you see they have, post-its, family photos, all those kinds of things, even though they're dealing with life and death and all the stuff of that just next door. So there's a close-up. And here's Billy. So Billy, I think Joan included Billy in hers, so we'll have a little bit of overlap here with an installation of hers. There's a drawing that we got to see. And that is all. So thank you to Joan. And since I'm already here, I will just segue right into painting. So yeah, I teach in the painting area along with my colleague Georgia Hughes, and so I'll show some of our work at the end, but I'm starting with some student work and this very fun picture of a group of my advanced students last year in an exhibition that we sort of all collaboratively co-organized. This is a class that is being offered now in the advanced painting area, where there's one class called Professional Practices in Painting, and that's the most advanced class, and they have the professional practices aspect can take different forms, and when I was teaching it, they organized a show of the rest of the advanced painting section. So they chose works, and they did studio visits with all the other painters, and organized it and created checklists and all of these things, and then, of course, celebrated and had an opening. So this is a group of them there in front of the exhibition. It was here in the project space. We'll come back to that, but this is one of the studios. The way it looked early this morning when it was completely new and shiny and clean. This is the beginning painting, basic painting studio 203, where I'll be teaching basic painting this semester. It also houses the painting for non-majors classes. This is a shot of a critique for one of my projects, Figure, Narrative, and Distortion. This is a project that involves observational painting of figures from life, from photographic sources, a combination of the two, as well as some distorting and some enlarging of certain body parts. So there's some things that are to scale and some body parts that are done at different sizes, and the elements come together in a kind of fantasy narrative that students create. So those are a few paintings from that project. These are a couple other projects that we do. The final project in the basic painting class is what I call a long-term painting, which is a painting project that students work on throughout the semester by completing a series of steps. So all of the steps are the same, but they're very open-ended, so the final results are quite different. And you have the experience of working on a painting over time. It's quite different than some of the other projects that you do as a student, where you're sort of turning things around every week or two. In this case, you get to kind of live with this painting for the semester and have ups and downs with it. Sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it. I was just talking about it with my class this morning. And again, in the end, they look very different. But some of the steps are things like find the most boring object you can think of and paint it at least twice its actual size. So that's the match in this one. There's a prompt about finding an article in the New York Times from the week that you were working on that painting and pulling some material from that for the source of the painting and various other things. This is the other painting studio on day one before it is occupied, painting studio 220. This is where the advanced sections are. Gorgeous view of the lake from that studio, great natural light, and all of the intermediate and advanced sections happen in there. And these are a couple examples from when I was teaching that last year. On the left is a painting from the alternative strategies in painting class, and that again is taught in different ways by George and myself, but in my version, we focus on different movements and we do sort of contemporary interpretation. So this was a piece responding to the surrealism movement in a contemporary way. And then on the right is a painting from the professional practices class, which is where students really have total freedom to create their own kind of path and journey of research in whatever directions they want. And that's a painting that is inspired by a optical shop that maybe some of you have driven by. It's near this school. It's on Sheridan, one of those big streets. And I hadn't seen it, and then after I saw her painting, I drove by it. Very kind of ordinary storefront that she translates into something quite eerie and mysterious. And here's some pictures of the exhibition that we curated where we started. So it was called 8,128 Days, which was the average number of days that those students had been alive. So that was their vote to come up with a title to bring together work that had a lot of different kinds of subject matter. They wanted to use that feature of time as a thread to combine things. So there was all different kinds of work, figurative, abstract, more expressionistic, a wide range of things. So those are all the students that were in that class. This is another view of the exhibition. And again, they organized the work. They created comparisons and a kind of movement through the space. Another image of that exhibition. And onto a couple examples of mine and George's work. We have some overlap. We both are interested in collage. This is a painting of his where he pulls together a lot of different kinds of imagery, often sports. There are these barcodes that often feature into his work, and then they come together in really interesting overlapping ways. There's another one, soccer ball becoming the head of a banana, some text sprinkled in, and even some collaged faces there, if you can see, really small, connected by some dotted lines. And this is a piece of mine. This is a very large three-dimensional painting. It's a giant greeting card. It's 6 feet tall. So it's modeled after the greeting cards that you would find at the pharmacy for any occasion, birthdays, holidays, and I combined a lot of imagery that and text that you would find in these kinds of cards. All the kind of rites of passage that they commemorate are smashed together on the surface, so all different attempts at showing care. And then on the inside of the card, if you can read some of the inscriptions, they're all away messages that I received and some from friends, but all real. Which is those messages that you get when someone is out of the office or sick or otherwise unavailable. And I was interested in the convention of the away message, where we sort of have to make an excuse for not being available, and this sort of combination of the greeting card that indicates presence, trying to be there for each other, and the away messages that represent a kind of absence and how they fit together. And this is a small painting of some erasers, which always interests me for various reasons. So I will end there, and yeah, that's it. And we have a few more people, so we're getting to the end. So thank you. Donna, are you ready to go? And we smoothed it out here, so thanks everyone for your patience.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'll be very brief. I'm John Opera. I'm a photo area head. My office is room 137. The photo area shares the hallway with design, so on the other side of the building. Room 123 is the photo tech office. Jeff mentioned Cassandra Cook, who
now in the photo area, Avi Osman, who is not teaching in the photo area this semester, but in the spring he will be. So I'm just going to give you, I'm not going to show you my work, but you can look it up at the website, jonathan.com, remember. But I just want to give you a brief overview of the courses we teach and kind of the idea behind how the curriculum is organized. And really what I try to do, my own work is very experimental in nature and often uses historical processes, but it's really important for me to consider that work in a very contemporary way. So teaching digital, the tenets of digital editing and digital acquisition and digital cameras, I think that's really important for everybody. And the idea, is kind of taking this holistic approach that once you learn all that digital stuff, you can then go on to break the rules in interesting ways. So intro to photography is 313. I don't get scared by the 300 level class. It's an introductory course. I know if you're looking for an elective, maybe sometimes 300 level is a little like but it's just because we had to switch some numbers around a couple months ago. But in intro, basically, you're going to learn how the camera operates. You're going to learn all the principles behind the camera. You're going to learn industry standard workflows in Photoshop and Grid. We don't really teach Lightroom here. You can come by and ask me why. I'll tell you. I won't tell you that. And then by the end of that course, you're also able to print at industry standard professional quality prints. So these are just, there are 4 projects. This is from the portrait project, but this was a student who never touched photography before. And one of the more interesting projects in that class has to do with students taking a walk and returning to the same path over and over again. And what happens is over time, you kind of realize that what interested you one day might be totally different than what interests you when you return, often based on things like light and atmosphere, things like that. And it's really, in this course, it is really about not necessarily making, this is a bit of a trope, I say this a lot, but it's not really about making an extraordinary photograph, or I'm sorry, an ordinary photograph of an extraordinary subject. Like anyone can go to Niagara Falls and make a halfway interesting picture. But in this class, we really try to get you to think about how to make the ordinary and the banality every day and try to find the extraordinary quality. So that's intro. And the next class for photo majors is this course, Image Apparatus Program. And the title is taken from these 3 main concepts that a philosopher, Wilhelm Couture, used to describe photography as it was emerging in the 21st century, or the late 20th century, early 21st century. But this course, I recommend this for design majors. It's kind of the next step after intro. It really focuses on a kind of deeper level of editing and image management and just strategies for kind of stylistic imprint. One of the big projects we do, and often students return to this idea for their final, is a typology. So the idea is that we're teaching you how to match images that may not necessarily belong together, but we teach you how to make that happen and make a series or a sequence. In fact, these were, believe it or not, I remember this student, these were actually taken on very different days. But the student went back to the site, specifically kind of sunny fall day. And here's another kind of typology. And we look at typology not just as a way to kind of visually organize the world, but we also talk about the kind of problematic aspects, what happens on a social or societal level when you start imposing categories. So it's a very complicated project. Students, I find, really enjoy it and get a lot out of it. And then, of course, studio lighting, very popular class here. We have a decent studio with pretty good professional grade lighting equipment. This is a popular course with that set. In it, you just basically learn the tenets of lighting figures, of objects, and one of the first projects we do is learn how to properly document artwork, like painting, drawing, things like that. So that's a practical skill that you'll walk away with after taking this course. And this is usually offered, I try to offer it once every 3 semesters or so. So we just taught it in the spring, it probably won't run until the fall, but keep an eye out. The final project, that was the project was narrative. This is pretty non-linear narrative. Very well done. And now we're kind of getting into my territory. Experimental process, which is our 365. The projects change every time I teach the course, and they usually change according to what are reflected in the kinds of readings we do. But the idea is to really push the idea of photography itself. And I know a lot of you are doing a pinhole project in time-based media, right? Who's doing that? Where you will, probably not yet. But in this class, we also do a pinhole project and kind of push it a little further. Students make cameras that hold roll film, and they're encouraged to make very unconventional cameras. And the idea being that the apparatus itself, the camera itself, the way that it structures, has a profound impact on how it represents the world. Here's a roll film camera. And then, last but not least, historical processes, which I'm teaching this semester. We actually have a few more seats in it. You do need to take intro first, because a lot of what we do in that class has to do with making digital negatives. But that course really examines processes that were basically put forth 150 years ago, very, kind of in tandem with a lot of the mechanical processes that Jeff and Noah teach. Cyanotype, Van Dyke. We also do these processes that are related to dichromates and gum. It's kind of again, it's a very historical, the content's very historically based, but the challenge, of course, is to do something contemporary and interesting with it. So we really push objecthood and experimentation and, unconventional substrates. It's a class that, it's not necessarily an easy class, but by the end, students are very pleased, I think, what they do. They're cyanotypes that are toned using different tannins. And, we often will get painting majors. In fact, I think Nikki is a painting sculpture person. He'll be taking the class. So you don't necessarily have to, it's important to know the basics of Photoshop, but there are all sorts of ways that you can kind of incorporate like mark making and other kinds of approaches that kind of go beyond the definition of a traditional photograph. And that's it. And please come see me again. I'm in room 137. I'm around a lot. Just come and say hi. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Last and definitely not least, we have Paul Vanus talking about biological art. Okay, so then here we'll do this. So we'll just do the
Okay, hi you guys. I'm left near. I got 10 slides. It's a 5 minute. I just want to show you what we're going to do in 5 minutes here. First of all, I should say that as you can probably see, all these media are connected. We're each showing you sort of variations on processes, all to be sort of ways of making art. None of them are exclusive of one another. And as far as I'm concerned, if you work with any of us, we're all going to just want to see you make the best work you can in whichever kind of techniques you have to choose from. So I have a program called Emerging Practices. It's also called Art and Technology. You can use either title. I originally invented the term because I was interested in introducing art forms. Like if we think about a lot of artistic mediums, in a sense what they are is they're like obsolete communication forms, right? Like let's find an obsolete communication, well, with no but like, you know, a lot of mediums are things that used to sort of be like sort of hot communication forms, but then they've been kind of usurped by the arts, and now arts are kind of what sort of makes sense of them. Emerging practice is almost the opposite. So rather than looking at sort of obsolete communication forms, looking at communication forms that might not even be communication forms at all. They might be mediums that we're actually forcing to communicate in ways that they were never intended to. And so this field encompasses what Mark Bowen was talking about in terms of computational media, and what I really focus on, which is biomedia, bio-art. The images I'm going to show you are from a course that I'm teaching this fall called Biological Art. We also teach a course called Art and Life, which encompasses a little bit of this. The basis for biological art is living stuff, making art with living and ephemeral processes. One of the sort of fundamental things in this is the petri dish, this vessel that allows us to grow things in vitro, in glass, or outside the body. And a lot of the first assignments I do in this class work with petri dishes. Again, this is kind of an odd medium to be making art, right? We're forcing it to communicate in ways it wasn't maybe necessarily intended to. There's been a lot of bio-art manifestos written, including by me. None of them exactly fit everything there is to do. So I encourage you to be critical of all of them. This is the first day of class. This is Van Tran and Nguyen pouring petri dishes in the first day of biological art class years ago. The first assignment had to do with sort of working with this as a medium. One of the students who worked with this immediately as a medium was an English major named Delana Kelly. Delana Kelly thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting to use these petri dishes, these things which can capture life forms and show us what's living in the air around us by giving it sort of a fertile space to land and grow, place where bacteria grow, and making a kind of recombinant poetics of this medium. So in this case, you can see the only slide I actually have of this is it's sort of half developed on a light dish. This poem is meant to be recombined. So these are bacteria that have formed in between these stencils laying across the dishes. In this case, the light we felt. And this is a sort of an artwork that emerges over time. A lot of biological artworks are ephemeral. Another student who worked with, again, similar kind of ideas, the same medium, the same course, Felipe Shibuya. You can see this is an image called Us. Basically, he made a sort of a large, wide petri dish. He smeared it with bacteria from himself and his lover, and put it atop a mirror. And what grew was, of course, these two different strains of bacteria in these two different colors, the skin bacteria. And in this picture, which is a great photograph, Felipe is reflected behind it. A lot of what we do in this class has to do with process and sort of like taking advantage of sort of interesting processes and tools which are around us at the university. The lab I run, Coalesce Center for Biological Art, is one of the very few in the country that's a lab for making art in a biology lab. It's actually located in the Hofstadter building, but it's part of the art department. We also visit other labs. This is an electron microscope lab. They invite us in every year, and certain students will work with the processes there. There we are looking at Peter Bush, as he's showing us the work he's done. And then students work with it. So this is, I think, one of my favorite projects ever using the electron microscope. This is by a student named Nate Ellie. Nate Ellie found diatoms, which are a very large and common life form, growing in streams right around this building. They're incredibly present in the sort of sand and algae at the bottom of streams and things. This life form is invisible. He basically, or barely visible to some, he imaged this on the electron microscope, printing out a very large positive, and then using historical photography techniques, the cyanotype, they basically printed these things, and they're gorgeous. I think of them as sort of taking the technologies of post-photography, which is the electron microscope, not even using light as a medium anymore, and imaging in the techniques of pre-photography, which is the sort of cyanotype process. Again, going further, other people, we also have a residency program that invites residents from all across the world to apply. We accept somewhere between 4 and 5 a year. This is a project by Ray Yu Ping at the end of her studies. She was interested in the gut microbiome and the different diets of across the world, especially where in some cases things we might consider poisonous or icky are delicacies. And so this was a special artwork as performed at the meal, or sort of a gastronomic art that she created after her residency at Coalesce. One of the things she did at Coalesce was she sequenced the gut microbiomes of her grandmother in Taiwan and herself, and she tried to kind of create a menu that would fill in the blanks in the microbiome. She offered it for audiences. And finally, this is literally the last slide, just to give you a sense of what we do there. This is one of my own pieces. This is my last piece. It's called Labor, and it's a work in which I constructed these 3 bioreactors. Bioreactor is a way of growing things in vitro outside the body. It literally translates between glass. And in these 3 bioreactors, I grew 3 different varieties of skin bacteria: Staphylococcus epidermidis, Corynebacterium, and Propionibacteria. These are the 3 species of bacteria that give our sweat its scent. Sweat has no scent on its own. It's only the microbes that devour it that give it its funky feel. Labor is a multimodal art exhibition that produces the scent of human sweat in vitro. And so what the viewer experiences is this sort of scent of like a factory, but there are no humans present. So you experience it sort of simultaneously, a kind of like overwhelming sense of sweaty body, and simultaneously a sweat, a sense of like vacuum, because there's no bodies present. So thank you guys. Choose your classes well and enjoy your semester.
All right, well, thanks everyone. That was a lot of information. I hope you're excited about the semester. I will see you back here in 2 weeks. Next Monday is a holiday. So first week of that. Take care, everyone.
What?